Welcome, everybody, and thank you for attending this Back to Basics webinar on Koha and Aspen Discovery, the dynamic duo. So typically in these webinars, we go over a specific aspect of either Koha or Aspen, but today we are going to look at how they seamlessly work together to provide all kinds of great services for your library. So my name is Elise Aiello. I'm the Partner Engagement Specialist here at Bywater, and I am joined by Jesse Zero, our Director of Sales and Outreach, Adam Brooks, our Koha sales consultant, and Bill Kessler, our Aspen sales consultant. So we are so excited to dive in today and show you everything that both of these products can do for your library. And before we dive in, I do have a very special announcement, something that's close to our heart and that we do every year for the open source community, is we have a special fundraiser called the Koha Community Challenge. And this is a really fun fitness event where you log in and it streams with your Fitbit or Apple Watch or whatever service you use. And we all have a really good time and just kind of like share our times and different activities we're doing. We have a Facebook group and it's a $25 entrance fee, but everybody that participates gets a great t-shirt at the end and it's super awesome. And all the proceeds go directly to Koha US. And this supports developments and different things in the community. So we would love, love, love to see you participate. I see Jesse dropped the link in the chat. So go check it out. We would love to see you. And with that, I'm going to stop yapping now and turn it over to Jesse, who's going to dive into the webinar. Take it away, Jesse.
All right, thanks, Elise, so much. If you have any questions during the presentations, please just use the chat. Bill and Adam and Elise will be monitoring that and answering questions as we go. And we are excited to talk to you today about the dynamic duo, and that is our favorite term to say when we bring the powerful combination of both Koha and Aspen together to really provide that seamless integration across platforms. So by creating this beautiful integration, we can give that discovery experience to our users and then have our staff on the Koha side managing and getting all of that information out to our users. So with that, we put together our top 4 things that we love about the integration between Koha and Aspen. So the first, of course, is that seamless integration. We are using the API connections between your Koha system and your Aspen system to be able to talk to each other. That means we can send real-time information between the platforms. So what you're creating within your Koha system is getting sent directly over to that Aspen system. At Bywater Solutions, we have developers, implementation specialists, educators, system administrators, and support staff that work together to support both of these products. So we're continually working to improve them and to make that integration as tight as possible. When those new modules come out, we work with both products to make sure that you are able to see that in both locations. The second thing we love to talk about is patron empowerment. And of course, that enables us to be able to help our patrons at that time of need, right? So whether we have a new patron that is wanting to sign up, we have that self-registered patrons feature, and that allows them to sign up in Aspen, and that information is instantaneously sent into your Koha system. You can use Koha's circulation rules matrix to set up special rules for those self-registered patrons, but it makes that self-registration simple to get the process started. There's also material requests. This allows your patrons to create purchase suggestions, and those created in Aspen Discovery through their account can be sent directly over to Koha's acquisitions module. That allows your staff to be able to go in and manage those requests, either order them, respond to them, maybe send them off on ILL, and communicate back and forth directly with your patrons. Koha has built-in notifications that will also update your users if the material request has been ordered, purchased, approved, and then of course put it on hold for them. They can also track their material requests right in Aspen Discovery so they can see that information at all times. And of course, the ability to update their contact information. We all know whether we get a new cell phone number or we update our email address or whatever it may be, this is a nice place where we can get right in there, update our information right within my account in Aspen Discovery, and it will send that information directly into Koha, where your staff can see that the patrons have made a modification. Of course, there's all types of rules that you can set up as to which fields they can update within the system. But again, we want to empower our patrons to be able to make suggestions, sign up for cards, and communicate with us. We also have patron customizations. This is where they can really make Aspen their own and build off of what Koha is providing for them. So the first thing we'll talk a little bit about is the messaging preferences. Now, I like to talk about these as our proactive or courtesy messages. And this is a really nice way for them to be able to say, like, I want to get all of my hold reminders via SMS. That way, if I'm out driving home from work or I'm out uh, doing whatever and I get that text message, I can swing right in. But now for others, if they prefer to get those emails, they can do that as well. So this is a great place where they can kind of customize the way they like to have their communication and notifications sent to them. Aspen has multiple languages that it can be transcribed into. And so this is where you will see the options for them to set up their own customized languages. And then, of course, circulation. We all need those reminders about what we have checked out, what we have on hold, and if you allow it, seeing that reading history. If they want to look back and see who are all the Kimberly McCreet books that I read, which one am I missing? You can go through that history and see what you have. So it just gives those patrons the customizations that they want to see what they have. And then finally, we'll talk about cataloging customizations. And this is where we're making all of your material easily discoverable in both the cataloging features within Koha, and then of course the tight e-content integration that you have in Aspen Discovery, making sure that all of that information is discoverable within the system. All right, so now that we talked about our top 4 reasons why Koha and Aspen are the dynamic duo, let's dive in and look at some of those features within the system. So I'm going to start on the Koha side, and we are going to talk just a little bit about that integration and the setup in the system. So within Koha's administration, for those of you that are curious, we have the ability to set up API information. That is where we're sending that info back over to the Aspen Discovery site. Now, with providers like Bywater Solutions, we set all of this information up for you, and we set up the indexing so we can connect your 2 systems with Koha and Aspen. We'll talk a little bit more about how you can reach out to Bill or Adam at the end if you're interested in setting up that connection and learning more about what we can do. Now we'll talk a little bit about the self-registration process. As I mentioned earlier, you can set up specific rules for self-registered patrons. So, right, we're going to start with the path of the patrons. We'll come in here to patron categories, and this allows you to set up a self-registered patron. As we come in here, I can set up all types of options, but this allows me to set up the vital things, such as the enrollment period. Lots of times, if you do have self-registration on your Discovery site, in most cases, libraries do require the patron to either come in and verify their address, whether it's their driver's license or a piece of mail. And what's nice about the enrollment period is you can set those patrons to either a month or 2 months within the system, giving them that time to get in to make that verification. As I scroll down a little bit further, you'll notice you can do library limitations. So if you only set up self-registration for some branches and not others, you can absolutely do that. And then, of course, tighter integration with options for password management and, of course, messaging preferences. Now, once you have that patron category set up, what we recommend is setting up some type of circulation and fine rule that allows you to give them access to maybe some things. In most cases, usually they can't check out until, again, they verify that information. But sometimes libraries will come in and they will add the ability to maybe place some items on hold. So you can see here in our example, we have holds allowed 3 for those self-registered patrons. So it just gives them a little option to see what's available within the system and then get it set. Now, the next thing you're probably thinking is, how do we tell which patrons have self-registered on Aspen Discovery? If we come into the patrons module, over on the left-hand side here, we have our filters, and this allows us to filter down by category. So I can come in, select that self-registered, and again, with that seamless integration, we have an instantaneous update to any user that has self-registered within the system. So I can come in here and see all of those users that have self-registered within the system. I can see their expiration date, and if and when they come in, and I look at their account information, you can come in and change their patron category. So now we have all of their correct information once verified on their driver's license or mail, maybe. You can come in and change their category right from self-registered to, let's say, resident. What that'll do is that will update their account. And then, of course, you can make any other modifications to their account within the system. Once you've gone through and verified all of that information, they will then change over and update into that account. So just a great way that you can see that tight integration. I'm going to come over now to the Aspen side and we'll take a look at what it looks like for the patron. When I click that sign in button, I'll get a modal window that, of course, will prompt me for that username and password. From here, I can actually click on, don't have a library card, register for a new one. What this will do is this will bring up a self-registration form where I can register for a library card. You'll notice up here, it gives just a quick introduction and lets them know you'll have limited privileges, but they can fill out this information. Within Koha, you can decide which fields are required. That way, you're getting the correct information that you need about that patron within the system. At the bottom, you'll notice they can set a password, and then, of course, the reCAPTCHA to make sure we don't have those bots out there just filling out all of our forms. So again, once this information is filled out, it goes directly back over to your Koha system, bringing in that tight integration. Now let's talk about those purchase suggestions. So this time I am going to sign in as a patron, and we'll take a look at what the user sees within the system. If we come over here to my account, you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, we have a little button that says materials request. Once I pop in there, it'll give me a little message and let me know about any of those material request options we have. And from here, I can come down and select submit a new material request. This will show me some options, both required and any additional information that I can fill out within Aspen. The type of book or item that I'm looking for. Within Koha, you can set limits as to what type of information they submit. And then, of course, as we go down a little bit further, you'll be able to see additional information. Once you submit that material request, users will be able to see that information and track the information within the system, and they can see what is available. You decide as to what fields are required when you're setting those up. And I'm going to jump back over to our Aspen site now and talk a little bit more about those purchase suggestions. So we'll start our journey again in administration so you can see the behind the scenes. And we'll go into our system preferences for purchase suggestions. Now, this will allow us to decide which fields that we want to be mandatory for those purchase suggestions. So we can come in and select the type, whether it's the item type or the title that we want, and select those options. Now, once a purchase suggestion is submitted, on the front page, you'll actually be able to see a highlight of any suggestions that are pending approval. Here, you'll be able to see your branch first. So you'll notice mine says East Branch 0. I'm actually logged into the East Branch up here. And then we'll see all libraries down below. So what this allows me to do is jump in so we can see that information within the system, and then I can see any pending or outstanding purchase suggestions within the system. This is where your staff can then come in and moderate those. So whether they're looking for something that you might already have, you can select that information and then come down to the bottom, and then you have statuses that you can send. So whether it's accepted right away, you checked it, rejected, ordered it, or moved it on to interlibrary loan, you can send a message to the patron directly, letting them know why or why not that item will be purchased. You do have the option to do some free-form text as well, so you could type in a reason that will get sent to that patron. Here, staff will also be able to manage all of the suggestions, so they'll be able to see purchase suggestions that were accepted, what's now available within the system. In some cases where you might have selectors or it goes through a more modification process, you can move it into a check status and then have another individual come in and make that final approval. You'll also see some that we sent off to interlibrary loan, ones that have been ordered, and then of course ones that have been rejected. Now, if you're into data analytics, you can report upon all of this information. So you can keep track of what's been accepted and what's been rejected within the system. Now, one piece I always like to tie in here is, of course, those notices that can go out to your patrons about those purchase suggestions. And what that allows you to do is you can customize all of that information within those messages. So if I type in suggestions, you can see you have specific notices for when a suggestion is accepted, available, ordered, or rejected. Okay, now we're going to talk a little more about patron empowerment. So one of the things that I love, I'm fortunate to have Aspen Discovery at my library. And one thing that I truly love about it is just the flexibility that we have when we're setting up our preferences and how we want to be messaged. Now, we belong to a multi-branch system, so it's nice to be able to come in and set locations where maybe your home is and where you have a preferred pickup, but also have an alternate pickup. So whether you have a library that's close when you're coming home from work, or maybe your child's school, whatever it may be, this is a nice opportunity where you can select alternate pickup locations within the system. And then, of course, the ability to set your language. As mentioned, there's multiple languages that Aspen can be translated into. And so this gives you the opportunity to set that language display within the system. Your messaging settings. This is where users can come in and set their preferred method of communication. Now, in Koha, staff will see the same messaging preferences. And remember, these are both courtesy or proactive messages. So they can't opt out of overdue notices or bill notices within the system. This allows you to see all of that information, whether it's reminders that, one of your items is due back at the library or an auto renewal. You can come in and set all of that information. So if you prefer those SMSs over emails, you can update that information within the system. Some of the other patron empowerment features that I really appreciate are the abilities to see things like your lists and your searches. So you can build those customized lists for your patrons and be able to see that information. So whether you're sharing something about lists or just for them to be able to come in and say, here's some beach reads I want to hit while I'm going on vacation this summer, this gives you the ability to come in and see all of that information in one place. All right. Now, to wrap things up, we are going to talk about those cataloging options. So I am logged in as an Aspen administrator, meaning I have access to the back end of things. And we'll talk just a little bit about cataloging and grouped works. This is where Aspen is grouping together all of those formats, right? So we have our cataloged Koha items, for books, new items, DVDs, whatever it may be. And then, of course, we have all those great e-content providers that we subscribe to, like Libby, Hoopla, Cloud Library, Palace Project, Boundless, and we can bring all of that information in. We also have that ability to sideload. So if you have other great products like LinkedIn Learning or Canopy, whatever it may be, all of that information will be in those grouped works. So this is where you can bring all of that information together. This allows us to come in and really define the way our users are searching, what they're seeing within that information, and setting up all of that catalog enrichment. So we're bringing all of that catalog data from Koha and all of that enrichment from Aspen to really set the display for our patrons to discover all of that information. So whether you want to show series informations or formats or ISBNs, you have that ability to come in and really customize that look within the system. During the implementation process, our team here at Bywater Solutions will work with you to set that information up to make sure that all of your information is discovered within the system. Now, if we head over to the Koha side, this is, of course, again, where you're going to bring in all of that cataloging information within the system. There is multiple ways that you can catalog within your Koha system. Whether you connect to a third-party cataloging product like OCLC, BTCat, Sky River, or you're bringing in records from an outside source like a book jobber, let's say Ingram, Brodart, Midwest Tapes, Midwest Library Services, Baker and Taylor. You can bring all of that information directly into your Koha site. This allows you to stage those records for import and bring them directly into your Koha site. Koha has both an advanced and basic editor, which allows you to make those modifications for each one of your records within the system. So if we come in here and take a look at one of our records and we come over here to edit record, this will take us in where first you will see our basic editor. This allows you, of course, to set up your system where you can modify what fields are visible to both staff and your public. And then, of course, the ability to customize all of that information within the MARC record itself. Koha also has an advanced editor. So if you prefer using keyboard shortcuts, this is the way to go. And this allows you to come in and, of course, make those modifications to the catalog record itself within the system. Now, to talk just real quickly about e-content integration. So with the 5 e-content providers that we mentioned earlier, Libby, Hoopla, Cloud Library, Boundless, and Palace Project, we have direct API integration. So what that means is we can set up the ability to bring that information directly in from that e-content provider. So if we take a look here at our Cloud Library settings, this allows us to come in and, of course, set up our direct information. So we don't have to upload all of those MARC records within the system. Now, there's also side loading. And so side loading is great for those other vendors that you don't have the direct API connections with, but you're still getting great content. Bill and I were on a demo earlier today, and we were talking a little bit about Canopy. So again, this is just one way where you can bring those records in. You can set up your form and then have that ready to bring those records directly into your Koha system. Now, with that, you have a beautiful dashboard. You'll see dashboards across the administration within Aspen Discovery, and that is going to show you different reports based on the provider. So in this case with Canopy, we can see active users and records accessed online. All right, so we talked about our favorite things for Koha and Aspen Discovery, and we want to share with you some of our upcoming webinars. Today's Back to Basics, of course, was about our dynamic duo, but we have 2 more left in our Back to Basics series in May and June, and we'd love for you to join us. I'm going to throw Bill and Adam's contact information up here, so if you do have questions and you're looking to make the switch, Adam or Bill will be able to help you get started. And just to check, do we have any questions? I saw most coming in. Yes, self-registration can get assigned a card number during the self-registration process. That's up to you. That's one of the options you can turn on or off. And card numbers can be auto-assigned or not. Those are all customizations you can make in system preferences. And of course, if you go through the implementation process with Bywater Solutions, you'll have a dedicated educator that will work with you to set those all up. All right, y'all, thanks for joining us for another Back to Basics webinar series. Elise, Adam, Bill, thank you so much for being here.